Okay, well, as it is with most technological issues, um, we are having some issues of our own. So we're having a little bit of conversion over here. We will be having Jose and Joanna on today, and they are dance instructors. Now, the reason why I was thinking about doing this is because, we always have people who are florists, we have people who are photographers, and so we want to invite somebody on who would be a little different here. So here they are. They are live with us. Hey, hi there, Jose,
Hi.
Joanna. How you doing?
Good, how are
The
you?
rain's terrible today, right?
Not
Not too
too
bad
bad.
here.
Oh, it's not too bad. Yeah, you're probably about 45 minutes away from me up here near where the rockets go off. It's a bit wet. So, man, I love that picture behind you there. That's a nice setup there, Fred Astaire.
Right upstairs. This is
So
our sign when you walk in behind the front desk. That's where we're sitting right there.
there you go. All right. Well, let me know a little bit about you, or let everybody know a little bit about you, and how did you get started and things like that.
So how do we start the studio, or how did we
No,
get started in
just
our
get
career
involved
dancing?
with just dancing in general.
Just dancing in general?
That was a long time
Yeah.
ago.
Ladies first.
There you
Well,
go.
we both have been dancing for over 30 years.
Wow.
I started when I was 8 years old as a kid. My mom made me go to the lesson. I didn't really want to, but after the first one, I was sold on it.
Uh-huh.
And the rest is the history. I danced in Poland. That's what I started, and then
Okay.
I moved to United States when I was 21 and started
Oh,
teaching at the studios. I looked for a partner, found one, and then after a while, I found another partner, Jose, and
uh-huh.
that's how we started dancing.
We had
Right.
met before, like, in the studios. I asked her one time about how to use the system,
I didn't even
and
remember that.
and I had seen her on the floor, dancing, but I never really, I had a partner and she had a partner, so we never approached each other other than that.
Yeah. Isn't that the
As
way it
far,
is? We
yeah.
no, we kind of from afar, we kind of watch and
Well, yeah,
usually
you know the people in the business, the circles. It's a very small business in a way. So everybody kind of knows each other after a while.
Mhm.
We have to do is
gotcha.
go to a few comps and who's who, who's with who, etc.
Right.
As far as I never wanted to be a dancer. This was an accident. I was looking for, yeah, no, seriously. I had my mind set on, university. Uh, I want to be a psychologist at
Oh,
first. Then I majored in architecture, and then from there graduated into music.
mhm.
And then from music, never went farther than like one or two semesters, and then that's when my girlfriend found she had
No,
the
no,
desire. Not,
no,
no, we
then.
weren't partners then.
I
This
don't
was
think I was
like
even in the United States at that time.
pre-career
Oh,
period.
really, really.
Yeah, like literally fresh off of the university. And anyway, long story short, she answered an ad in the paper. We were working at the Copacabana in New York together,
Copa.
waiting table. She was bartending, and she saw the dancing that was going on there. And she was Scottish, and yeah, I was Dominican, but I didn't know how to. I didn't have a lick of dance in me. And, uh, so anyway, she wanted to learn how to dance. She saw the ad in the paper and said, "We'll train for the stair, come in and for the training class." And I went in there and I saw what was going on, how everything was so beautifully formal. All the teachers had ties, the ladies had dresses on, but they were playing Latin music. And I thought, wow, I've never really seen it done this way.
The right way. What do you say? The right way? Yeah.
Well, it was different because it's
Elegance.
it's like the music itself. It wasn't really until the brass came in with trumpets or the accordion from Germany that affected our culture, that the music started kind of lifting up as well in sound, because as hitting those toms with the cow skins and hand
Right.
drums and that kind of thing, actually was barred at some point politically. People were not even allowed to play the hand drums in Cuba for some
Really?
time.
Wow.
So then, anyway, as the political scene started to get a little bit more relaxed, the drums were allowed into the ballrooms, even,
Mhm.
and was the president of Cuba that had done that, and everything else started to kind of come up a little bit more fancy, a little bit more formal, and that's what we call it the ballroom dances now. Because
Gotcha.
this all started in Europe, and
For
when it
sure.
came down with all the business people that colonized the islands, then the music also got affected. All the higher level, instruments came in, and the music itself just got this new feel.
Right.
And that's why I say that when I walked into that studio and I saw the people very well dressed, the teachers, usually you go to a studio, everybody's sweating, they have like regular
Right.
clothes
It's
on.
like a gym almost.
It's like a
Gym.
gym, right?
Yeah.
It's a
And
different.
so it totally captivated my interest, and I spent 2 months learning the figures. After 2 months, I got called into the office and said, "We want to keep you." And then my other partner was a little ballerina from Greece, and so we got
Chosen.
chosen to stay at that school, the East Side, New York, which
Hmm.
was the 86th Street location in Third
Okay.
Avenue.
Yeah.
And then two other couples went to the West Side studio and one in the Village.
The village. Okay,
In the
gotcha. Well, that's
Village, New York.
that's that's great. So, just I'm sorry to cut you off there, but really, the two of you were not, like I want to dance for my life and things like that. It was something that you come to appreciate, right? And I,
Yes,
I think I think most of us are like that. We have a perception of what dancing is, and you got to have all this, coordination, and you
Mojo.
know, yeah, mojo, more mo than Joe. But here,
Mojo.
yeah,
Mojo.
yeah. Well, I do have a question here. With that in mind, somebody had
uh-huh.
sent this in. This is not what we are playing, but you guys are professionals. Like when you were teaching, who were the old? How old was the oldest couple you've ever taught the dance that you felt like they were happy with what they did?
Was it Anina?
Anina was not the oldest.
Oh,
I've seen older. I mean,
but
wow.
you,
What?
who did you teach the oldest? Who's the oldest?
Um, as far as who I taught that was the oldest, it might have been Anina. But I had other ladies before that. I mean, that came in and out of my life.
Hmm.
Briefly, I would say about 80.
80 in the 80s.
You can definitely dance very very late. I know of one lady who's in Fred Astaire studios, not this location but some other location, who was originally a yoga teacher,
Hmm.
and she was actually 101 when she died. And that
Really?
year she was still dancing. She was amazing. She was in a great shape, obviously because of her yoga. She was a yoga instructor, and she was still teaching
I
at
remember her. She came out
101.
in TV.
Yes, she did. Maybe
Wow.
some of you have seen her. They interview her because she was something, and she danced till the end,
I
till
did. I
101.
did a lesson with her, so maybe 101
Really?
was
There you go.
I
That's
know.
awesome.
I know that lady.
Yes, we also
Yeah.
judged her at some competition because we judge competitions once in a
Super
while.
strong.
So you can, start from 1 year old and go all the way to
All the
100.
way up.
How about
Well,
this? I have a question for
sure.
the audience.
For the
How
audience.
old do you think I am?
Let's see here.
Well,
You see if we
I
get a
don't know.
response. It might take a little for that,
That's fine.
but I'll make sure I'll throw them up there and see if we get some guesses. So the thing with you two, you aren't just dancers; you are award-winning dancers. You are U.S. champs. I mean, you didn't. You're not bringing this up. I am because I think it's a really cool thing that little old me gets to interview y'all. But so, what was your what is your award or your accolades include?
Well,
Like,
we have few titles. We've been four times U.S. National champions, professional champions in the rhythm division, the special division, and three-time world champions in that style as well.
Wow. Wow.
Um,
That's
that
awesome.
was between year 207 and 210.
Hmm.
And then after 2010, we retired and we decided just to focus on teaching.
Right.
But those are the biggest titles. We have Mambo Championships title as well,
Show dance U.S.
Salsa
champion.
Championships.
Yeah,
Awesome.
I mean
Nice.
our most of our accolades. I mean, those are the highest ones that we've got together.
Yes.
But
Right.
I'm sure on her end that she has tons of titles. I've won over 500 championships, throughout
You
my
counted
career.
it.
Well, yeah, but I would
Yeah.
compete 20 sometimes a year,
Wow.
and most of the time I was first, if not second, depending on who was there.
Right.
So it really varies. And but the thing about us is that we've been teaching it as well. It's not just that
Right.
we've been exposing ourselves or training at that level for so long. We've always been training to get to that level.
Mhm.
But
Exactly.
once you get to that level, you just find that, okay, well, what's next? It's not like, oh wow, so you reach the championship level and that's it, you go to heaven.
Yeah, for sure. It's not like on the Olympic team that you go.
Right.
It's like
Going down from there.
yeah, I'm an Olympic dancer. No, that's what they say about NASCAR drivers. Once they win the championship, they're like, it's over,
Right.
But I do have a guess up here. I don't know if it's an insult or not. I don't know how it got to be so specific. This is one of the guesses here.
Oh,
Is it
Oh,
lower?
close, close.
Close. Okay, so hopefully
49. Good guess.
49. Oh, now that was an
I was
insult.
implying that I'm looking very young
yes, he does.
for my age.
Yes,
Everybody
you
tells me,
do.
you're looking like a kid. They always tell me, you're a
Yeah.
kid. I'm like,
Well,
so
I've been
that's
through a
true.
lot, right?
that's my
Yes.
camouflage.
There you go. Excellent. No, that's awesome. So, let me see here. Now one thing I just had come up here is was it now? This is the one I was looking at here. Dance is also kind of a type of therapy. Do you feel like that's kind of true? And I mean, have you seen or feel that yourself? Or
Yes.
Any activity, I think, as long as you're doing something with your mind and connecting it with your physical, it can be very, very good for, longevity. But
Right.
dancing is one of those things that definitely takes a lot of not only heart to get yourself into the studio to open yourself up to a new experience, to challenge yourself by maybe trying to coordinate things that are taught during the lesson. But yes, it's good for the mind, for the memory, because you're having to always remember things, and you're always having to like focus and sharpen those skills every time you come to the studio or wherever you are. I always say 10 minutes a day is better than 1 hour a week, as
Yeah.
far as practicing is concerned, because
Mhm.
you're constantly more around it, you're a little bit
Repeating.
more repeating.
Gotcha.
So yeah.
It's a
That always
body,
makes
it's a body memory, but also you practicing mind all the time. And we often, see people telling us it's kind of like a meditation because you leave your problems at home. You actually focusing not on what happened, but on how do I move my body? Do I move my steps? This is fun. I'm listening to great music. It's a totally different focus, and some people come for different reasons. People come for just to meet people, socialize. Some people come to exercise. Maybe they want to lose weight and be more healthy. Yeah, some and some just want to really have fun and
Experience something new.
something as a challenge. People come as a hobby, and also wedding couples come just for the wedding dance, and they're like, you know what? I think I want to do this more. I want to actually learn how to dance and be able to do this. And it goes from a little hobby to some go into the competitions. They do pro-am competitions, for example, with a teacher. Like he had some students who he competed with, and
Oh,
For
really?
20 years.
he still has one. He's from New
Still
York.
follows me from Stat. Well, she lives in
She's
New
coming at
Jersey
the end
now.
of September again, third time already since we moved. By the way, we just moved to the area 3 months ago.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
from well, we were first in New York, then moved to New Jersey when we had kids. We have two kids, by the way. We wanted to
Right.
have a little more space because we lived in a little tiny box apartment in New York, of
Yeah.
course.
Yeah,
Uh,
I know it. I know it's like my wife and I lived in New York for 2 years, and
there you
it
go.
was just it's a different mentality, and I love
Very
Totally
different.
it for
fast
sure.
paced
You
life.
have a lot
Yeah,
going on in New York, but your apartment is just somewhere you sleep, and that's it. You
yeah,
then you do your things, right? And this lady who started the dancing, she knows you longer than me. Actually, she
really,
still comes. She comes all the way from New York. She
She looks
flies,
great
and she's
because
still
she
competing.
dances.
really.
Yeah,
And that keeps her young, huh?
Keeps her
So,
inspired. You know how life can get so dull. You
right.
keep on doing the same old thing, looking at the same old girl, looking at the same old four
No.
walls. Hey, she's got to keep herself in shape just so as I have to keep myself in shape. We both have to inspire each other. You know,
Right.
I keep people who come in here and actually just get inspired by the way we dress.
Right.
This
Right.
guy Orlando
oh,
and Rosie,
that's a
they
very
showed up
good.
in shorts. Florida people,
Right.
and
Yeah.
it's hot.
Exactly.
Nobody wants to dress up in Florida.
No.
They want to
Uh-uh.
be comfortable. But at the studio, there's a dress code.
Oh yeah.
So what was it that she said, the lady?
I mean, it's not really. It's not that we're not letting people in
Right, like
dressed in any way. There's
we
not
turn
You
really.
gotta
them
do
away.
you gotta do
No,
push-ups or something.
We're okay, yeah.
we do
No,
not have a dress code, but people get affected by what the studio looks like, how people behave. So, like you
Right.
said, you walked into the studio a long time ago. Fred Astaire, that everybody was dressed. People get affected by it, and they trying to
keep up and
keep up and like be part of this. So, for example, this wedding couple, which is a very great example. Um, he would come to the even group classes to learn because he wasn't as good as his partner. So one day, and this was the fiance, she was telling us that story. She said, she's like, "Oh, you dressing up for the group class?" And she's not
Uh-huh.
going, right? So it's like,
Right.
he's like, "Yeah, I need to see my lines, so long pants. I need to look like Jose." So he
Oh,
started
there you
wearing
go.
slacks. He had dance shoes. He bought dance shoes especially for that occasion, because there
Oh,
is it do people feel the difference when they dress properly. They have proper dance shoes, proper shoes that you actually can maneuver on the floor. They're not too sticky, not too slippery. You have to have the right tools in a way, just like you
right.
golfing.
yeah, I
Right
changed. I
shoes,
golf a
right
little
goal.
bit, same thing. Yeah.
Oh,
So
wow.
people get affected and they change. They become
Yeah.
maybe elegant and
That's why I love golf because it not only is it somewhat of a dance, the working on your swing constantly, the rhythm it gives you, but also the way the guys dress and the girls.
Right.
I mean, that's just my favorite moment when those girls get up on those tee boxes with the little skirts or the little shorts and and they get into position. It's such a powerful position and they hit that ball and you're like, wow, not only does she look great, but she has a rhythmic, coordinated, technical aspects to the movement, just like in dancing. And they look good while they do it. And this is the same effect in dancing.
Really? Wow. Yeah, you don't think about the mechanics of it so much whenever you're just watching. It's as a performance, but as an instructor, as a person who's done it for a competition, there's some nuances to it. So, um, we do have another question here. Do you have suggestions for people who want to learn a dance for their wedding? I know we're going to talk about some more other stuff like that, but
Mhm.
especially specific to your studio. But do you have any suggestions for individuals that were looking to develop something for their wedding? I'll leave that up
Yes,
there.
we have a lot of options, and obviously most. Here, I'll show you a little bit. We have a little wedding program right
Oh,
here.
okay.
Yeah, the special for the wedding couples, and here you can see what we have. Obviously offer. You can do your first dance, so we can choreograph your dance. You can suggest the music if you have some of your favorite, but we can help you with that if you you're not sure, because some music might sound great, but it's hard to dance to. So, for example, if this is your favorite dance, it's like you have those one song together. I get
Right.
it. We'll figure it out no matter what. But if you have different options, we would suggest the one which is easier to dance to, easy kind of to follow. So you look good doing it, obviously.
Doesn't have to be complicated, just to bring out the
Hmm.
best aspects of your movement at where you are in your dance journey at that moment.
And
Right.
some choose one song, maybe just a classic song like Frank Sinatra, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And some choose a combo. We have
We-
a wedding couple who did 4 dances.
Oh boy.
They wanted to, oh boy,
Big production.
but it
Yeah.
and so we also edit the music, so we could actually slice it, put it together, edit it together, so it's not a half an hour performance.
Right.
But and totally different style. It can go from foxtrot to salsa to hip hop if you want to,
Wow.
and impress your
Your
wedding
audience,
party
yeah.
audience, right? Is one way to do it. Obviously, in general, we suggest also couples to just learn how to dance, to be able to dance on the wedding, not just your first dance and then sit down all night
Hmm.
long. So we would show you a few steps of a few dances, just so you're able to lead and follow, move around, and enjoy the time, right? We
For
also
sure.
have. I'm just gonna kind of go through the list. You can do a father and daughter dance. We
Yeah.
have and we had students like that too. That
Did you ever have it where like there's the father daughter and then there's the first dance and one was exceptionally better than the other and it was almost like a little competition? Ever have that happen or anything like that?
well, it happens. It depends on also how much you put the work into it. So it would be nice if the bride and groom are the stronger, the
star.
star of the
Exactly.
night.
But it depends on the people. It's all
Right.
about everybody's slightly different. They have like for instance, Rosie and Orlando, the latest wedding couple that we have.
Right.
Orlando is American, like strictly, and she's Puerto Rican, this girl. And obviously, she also had some background in ballet when she was growing up. So that helped her when she came into the door. She already had an idea of movement and that she could pick up the steps a little quicker than
It
him.
was easy.
So what we did with him is that we had to double time his training. So he not only
Okay.
came to the privates, but also came to the groups twice a week. And that leveled up his experience. And by the
Confidence.
end of the second
Mhm.
week, she already felt the difference. She was like, "Oh
Oh.
my God, I can actually." They were here. We posted a little foxtrot of him leading her across the floor in foxtrot easily.
Huh.
Amazing the changes that can happen when you just give a little
Focus
focus
and
on
practice.
something.
Right.
Huh?
Right. Right.
And
So
you have
how,
the right instruction.
exactly. That's the other thing is that's why I was kind of going back to your accomplishments because I could go out there and say I can teach somebody how to dance, but you've got the goods on that. Um, so what would be a sweet spot if somebody said, "Hey, I'm going to go and I'm going to get married"? How far in advance should I be preparing to do? I mean, just say I'm just a normal guy, no, very little rhythm, maybe.
Dream it better.
There's nothing you can really do to prepare yourself because, again, you don't know what direction the teacher is going to necessarily take you into. And by yourself, what would you know how can you direct your focus, right?
Right.
You have to show up and then get the instruction and then follow the instruction.
Right.
And that would be the best way. So another example, same with Rosie. She said she just came to the end of her the first half of her wedding program, and she was about to go to the next level where we teach the next 5 steps.
Right.
And she said, "Well, we could have gotten a little bit ahead of it." She thought if we had just cut the music before and been that a little bit more prepared. And I said, "Well, you still have to learn how to dance. You can have the music cut, but if
Exactly.
you don't have the skill and you don't have the material, meaning the figures, the amalgamations to
Right.
practice and how to practice them, why would you be practicing anything?"
Exactly. Yeah. Just because you got the music in your head doesn't mean that you can put your feet to that music.
Yeah,
Just one aspect
so
of the whole
it's hard to
ensemble.
just go and jump into choreography when you don't know how to dance. So you gotta start, have to figure out how to lead, how to follow, how to move around the floor a little bit, get some basic ideas before we start, doing the whole choreography. But I don't know if that's what you meant. How
Yeah.
long in advance
Yeah.
to start? I mean, every couple is different. Depends
Okay.
on their skills. But I would say even half a year before I would start. We had people who came just 2 weeks before the wedding. And, what can you do? A few basic steps. Will you be comfortable and confident doing it? Probably not.
Yeah.
So it all depends on also what kind of production you want. If you want a bigger production, you definitely need more time to practice.
For
If
sure.
you want one dance, maybe a little bit less time. Your skills,
Hmm.
but no matter what, I would start as early possible. And even if you want to do it half a year before and you think you've done everything you could within the first 3 months, that's fine. And then continue practicing, you
Hmm.
know. But at least you started early. You will keep doing it, keep working on it, even on your own if you feel you don't need us. But you feel more confident
Right.
instead of doing last minute dances and then uh, you're gonna look stressed. You're gonna
Winging it.
Yeah.
Then
Yeah.
it's gonna look like, oh, I just learned how to dance, and I don't know
Yeah.
what I'm doing.
Yeah.
You
Don't look
don't
at your
do
feet, right?
that.
You're not supposed to look at your feet.
Right, or
One
count out loud.
counting out loud.
1,
One,
2.
Two, three, four. Two, three. Oh,
you've
man.
seen it all.
So
Oh man.
obviously, sooner better.
Mhm.
Even if you're planning to spend the same amount of money, don't wait to the end. Do it way earlier.
Right.
But
And
on average, sorry to interject.
mhm.
On average, in the industry, I would say that if you really want something to last you a lifetime,
Mhm.
to at the least 6 months to a year
Right.
of
You know,
practice.
and that makes sense when you say it lasts a lifetime. Like, well, it's just one night, but that song that you guys have that's that you're dancing to, you'll play that over and over again. Wouldn't it be like nice 10 years from now to be able to dance to that same song? Not just listen to it, but say, hey, remember when? There's something about that.
There's
Being able to
romance in that.
practice here.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, and we show how to use, even if we use some, let's say, rumba steps to your wedding song. We show how you use the same steps to different music, so you're able to use the same skills which you learned just for your wedding dance and take it,
Related to
relate to
other
other music.
rhythms. Yeah.
And that's not that difficult actually to do once you understand the
Yeah.
counts, the music, how it's written.
Hmm.
And this one is musician. We have, right?
Oh,
He's a musician as well,
I
so he knows it
try.
all.
I keep. I've been playing cellos 13. Guitar mostly is my
right,
favorite and my strongest.
right,
But
right.
when I met her, how you have birthdays and things, and when you talk, the ladies listen,
We
and then
do.
they start to think of birthday presents.
Uh
She
huh.
got me a Groupon to learn the drums.
Oh, okay.
That's how I started, and I stuck with it for like 3 years
Right, right.
because not only did I want to learn four-way coordination, with
Uh-huh.
my feet and my hands, and I was always like dumbfounded how do they do it? How do the drummers get all that rhythm going?
Exactly,
It's
exactly.
so hard. Every time I was sitting in front of at a Sam Ash or a Guitar Center in front of the drums, you feel so like you needed to have like an octopus ability or something. And no, eventually you start to see how, okay, you start from the ostinato, from the ground up. You've got a
Mhm.
bass rhythm, you've got a hi hat rhythm. Once you get those two going, and you start adding the right and the left hand to the mix. Once that's going, then you do that for a month or two. You start to be free. You don't think about it. Like Joanna says, it's kind of meditative at the same time because you're doing something, connected to your brain waves and to your physical activity. And next thing you know, you're playing the drums and you don't even notice how you slipped into becoming a drummer.
It's exactly like
Right.
It's
dancing
exactly like dancing.
because you
Same
start
thing.
with your
Doing it,
feet,
doing it.
then you have to add the arms. That's another partner into it. So it's a lot of two-way coordinations, or and eventually you feel like, hey, This is not that difficult.
Yeah, you
Like
get that.
drive a
Picking it up.
car,
Yeah.
you
I
know?
know. My wife and I do sign language, and I was
Oh,
really awkward with that. And then one night, I was like, "Well, yeah, it's kind of hard to do two things at one time." And I spelled it out, finger spelled the word out with both hands, and I was like, "Wow, I can do it! I didn't realize
yes.
I could do
You
it."
see?
So yeah, because I'm like a single thing at a time kind of guy. I can't do
Yes.
two things at
That's how
once.
you do it.
That's how you
That's how
start.
you start.
Inch by
Slowly.
inch.
We
For
always
sure.
have a sort of principles that I took also from music
Mhm.
class along the years, where we call it the learning tempo, where we start at half of the standard tempo. So let's say that the cha-cha is at 120 beats a minute.
Wow.
Right? So we'll knock that down to 60, and we'll do the figures at that tempo very slowly. So you start to get used to the tempo, but kind of like a metronomic sort of sense to it. And
Right.
then you start slowly getting into the movement, and you'll start to see development and growth. And then you establish the intermediate tempo.
Right.
And then, you're up at like 80, 85, depending on how comfortable you feel. And you never go up in tempo until you master that tempo that you were at that moment. And that is the leveling up. And then finally, eventually, you get to standard tempo. And then you
You
find
got it.
yourself on the sweet spot. This is
Hmm.
It's
how
kind
the
of like
music
the
is
wax on, wax
played.
off.
Exactly. It's exactly like wax on, wax off. Exactly like that.
You
I
don't
teach
realize.
my kids the same way. How because I'm a teacher by force now. Of elementary school because I have an 8-year-old.
Oh yeah,
You
yeah.
We're
homeschool.
homeschooling him as
Oh,
well.
okay.
We're doing
Mhm.
everything. I mean, we're in the studio. We have 2 kids. We're teaching them. We're
Just ask
teaching
them, we'll do it.
our students. We're working together to learn the business a little bit better. We're,
There you go.
checking out in our certifications to the next level. So
Mhm.
we're constantly learning, we're constantly teaching it, and that's how we live our lives. So
Right.
with my little guys, I have a 2-year-old too. The little one, she picks up on it, and I just start Jaden from after he has his breakfast, brushes his teeth, ABCs
Mhm.
at a certain tempo, and
Right.
as he gets better and better, speed it up. A B C D E F G H I J K L M N O P, and
Yeah.
so he's continuing. Then I time him.
Right.
And so now he's verbalizing the ABCs. Jana's picking up on it. A, B, C, D, F, G. She doesn't think, but she's listening to it.
Copying, yeah.
She's copying, and she also gets it, in that manner. And then eventually okay, let's now do it with words. And so the national anthem. No, say, can you see? Many times we've gone down that lane, and now he sings it on his own.
Oh.
So the brain activity's firing. And then not only until then, when I see him excited and bouncing and ready to go, okay, here's the book now. Here's the pencil. Because you got to
Writing and math.
trick them. You got to get them going. You got to get that brain going in a certain way. So they're doing something that's natural, that is not forced. And that's a lot of the things that we do.
That's
We
how it's
try to
dancing.
teach that technique. So sort of, you do one thing, but it benefits the other, vicariously through doing this one thing. You're not even paying attention. It's like you said, the wax on, wax off. Oh, you think it's about waxing on and waxing
Yeah.
off, but when you get to the blocking, it'll really
Right.
help you.
It's a gradual stepping up on those things. Yeah, that's a good way to do it because you want to do it to remember, not just to get through an eye. Because you can probably teach somebody how to do something for cram it in there, but
Yeah.
to teach somebody, I appreciate that somebody would be willing to teach me a way so that I don't necessarily have to come back, but I come back because I want to do more.
Right.
So that's a
Right.
good way to instruct. I did have another
Fire.
question. Somebody come up. Um, so if you want to discuss that, what does the average package cost for a couple for a wedding's first dance, like a wedding first dance? Is it, would you recommend like a one lesson a week or like you said, every day or maybe every other day or something?
Well, I'll start with we right now we have a special offer for new students. So
Mhm.
if you want to do a wedding dance or just want to learn how to dance, well, we have a $99 special, and that includes 2 private lessons and 1 group. So this way you get a chance to kind of
Like a
feel,
taste test.
yeah,
You know?
taste to how it feels on the group classes, how it feels on the private. Do you like us? Do you like our studio? Do you enjoy what we're doing? And
Right.
once you decide, yes, this is it, we have different options of packages, and it's really up to the budget of the wedding couple,
Right.
right?
Mm-hmm.
But we do suggest to come at least once a week, and we combine those lessons, usually private lessons with a group class.
It's
So
called
if
a
you
unit.
unit, right? So if you come for the private lesson, let's say on Monday, maybe on Thursday you also do a group class. So this way you get benefit to also dance with maybe other people if you want to, because we in the group classes we like to switch partners. Only if you like to. You can come and stick to your partner if you want. We understand that, especially with COVID. I mean, we're pretty open here. You do whatever you
It's
want.
comfortable.
Yeah. But this way you had get a sense of how to lead other people. It's a totally different feeling, and you learn also different dances to be able to dance, on the wedding night, not just for your first dance. So
Okay.
you do a combination of them, and also all active students are allowed to come to our studio and come and practice at any time.
Oh, really?
Yes,
Wow.
yes.
It's like a club.
So yeah, you have a
You do your
DJ and everything.
lesson, you do your group,
It's the
and then you
country
can
club
come
of
after work
dance.
and practice what you learned this week. So we encourage you to keep on dancing as much as possible. Keep on practicing. So, and here is our little one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
There we go.
Say
So
hi.
where y'all located? You're in West Melbourne, right? Hey,
Say hi.
what you doing?
Yeah, West Melbourne, 4270 Minton Road,
Okay.
right off the end of Palm Bay West, is it?
Okay.
Yeah.
Into it if you want to stay.
Yes.
I was- Oh.
It's kind of like the intersection. And so, where what is it called here? The Pizza Vola and the Paradise Nutrition
Oh,
Center.
okay.
There used to be a gun
From
shop. back
Dodgers.
there. Lawn Doggers. Oh, yeah, Lawn Doggers.
Doggers.
Okay, there you go. People know that one. Okay.
Lawn Doggers.
Oh boy. Well, that's good. And you could apply that now. Now, I'm gonna put this out there is that if you're dating somebody, there's a good way to start, right? Like you guys are very good examples of that. And then by the time you get serious and you get engaged, hey, you've already practiced, and you can just go that little bit deeper for your wedding,
It's
right?
a date night. You come,
Yeah.
dance a little, go to dinner after. Yes, and there we hear that we new to area, so we don't know all the. Oh, sorry about that.
Well, you are business
Don't know
owners,
all
so
the
it's
talk, but we
understandable.
hear there's a lot of places to go Latin dancing as well.
Okay.
So
Melbourne, downtown Melbourne.
yeah, and so you learn some salsa, then go out um, to dance
That's
some
what.
Latin
Yeah,
dances.
that's what one of our wedding couples
I'll be
is doing
right
right
back.
now.
Okay.
They come for their group class after, because you have to be on the books for one private in order to take the group class
Okay.
or benefit from taking the group class. Again, it's for that compound sort of learning growth. And then what they do is they concentrate on that night. They concentrate on salsa, and then they go practice it out at the club in up in like I said, the downtown Melbourne area. But again, right now we're doing some renovations to get the lights all sort of like a little club in here, because the third part of the unit, like we said, is a private group and a party or practice party
Okay.
that you get for the same price. And so you get that benefit, of being able to
Keep on
practice
dancing.
eventually with other people at the party, or just practice with your own partner if you would like, or you can practice with your teacher who will be at the party dancing with the other students as well.
There you
So
go.
it's kind of like, like I said, it's a lifetime of practice. No matter what you do in the arts,
Mhm.
this is not a one-time thing, and you go in there and you just learn it once and then you forget it. And for me, like when I took up the drumming, I never stopped practicing after that. I still practice the things that my teacher taught me. How many years? 6 years ago when I stopped
More
doing
than
that. More than that. I don't do lessons right now
before
because I
kids.
still haven't caught up with all the practice
There you
that I
go.
need to do.
There
And
you
plus,
go.
I'm opening up a studio and etc. I have a family now, so I can't take
Right.
that luxury. You have to
Right.
have the time, of course, and the discretionary funds, obviously, as well. That's one thing about Fred Astaire, and it's kind of like having this luxurious extracurricular activity that you go out and do, and you sort of give that to yourself.
Right.
For us, when we were not when we were professional, but when we were competitors,
Right. Right.
we would go to England to train. We go to Starlight Studios, where some of the best dancers in the world would practice. We would go to Cheam, we would go to Samley, and we would see the world champion, Donnie Burns and Gaynor Fairweather, right in front of us, practicing in that little corner mirror. And then you see Brian and Carmen, or Vivica and Allen, all of them in front of us, and you can only imagine, like, it's like being next to Phil Mickelson, or watching Tiger Woods hit some balls off of
The corner there.
at the driving range, or Rory McIlroy.
Right.
It's a different thing when you see the big boys and the big girls do it, and it gives you a lot by just being there.
Being
Walk
Right.
the course, look at the way the architecture was made. In every course is slightly different, and in every ballroom is slightly different, and every partner is slightly different. And so that's the key thing, that one day, hopefully, if you can start as a wedding couple, but then eventually graduate to being able to dance with anyone that you dance, or
Right.
lead anyone, or follow anyone as a lady. So these are
Yeah.
things, like I said, for a lifetime of practice.
Right.
Dancing is something you just never stop doing. And if you do stop doing, you start deteriorating.
Right.
You start decaying. If you're not
If you don't use it, you lose it, right?
that's it. Yeah, that's how it works.
Exactly.
Any activity.
Gotcha.
Sometimes I have to go back to my studies in my books. Right now, I'm studying my Paso Doble book, very close to my heart right now, because I'm teaching it, and I haven't done Paso Doble in some years, and I have to get back in there and reread the passages that I didn't understand, or didn't benefit from remembering.
So let me ask you this. This is a silly question. What is the deal with the Viennese waltz on Dances with the Stars? I kind of alluded to it. It just seems like that's the death stroke. Is it because it seems not? I mean, it's got to be technical whenever they're doing it.
The more simple the activity is, the more difficult it is to master.
Okay.
You know what I mean? It's like a pitcher, right? You see those pitchers after a couple of innings, they start sidewinding and start throwing balls.
Right. Right.
The arm gets tired, and not to say that the comparing it to, could you
I'm sorry.
comparing it
We
to
are live.
yeah,
Sure.
comparing it to the baseball, the pitcher is an easy thing to do, but I mean, think about it. It's ball, I prepare to throw the ball, I throw the ball. How hard can it be? Right? So with Viennese waltz, it's like, well, I do my right turns, and then I do my left turns. And that's it. You have to master those two steps. I mean, how many steps does Viennese waltz have?
Well,
No more
unless you
than
do-
10.
And then, unless you do American style, so there are different styles. There's international style.
But
where
he's
it's
saying that
completely-
it's the death stroke on Dancing with the Stars,
It
because nobody
seems to me. I don't know. And I'm like,
that is,
It's hard. It's hard to turn together.
okay, that's what it is.
And we don't really
The-
follow Dancing with the Stars at the moment. Although we actually been on Dancing with the Stars. I don't know if you knew that, as a guest artist.
Joanna.
I'll just throw it in.
Hey,
And
the TV
Ivy.
star. Here you are on this silly
Oh,
YouTube
yeah.
live.
We
So
were
situation.
invited as a professional couple to
Right.
dance with Def Leppard. So Def Leppard had a little single coming up, and we danced as they were playing their song.
It was called Nine Lives.
Nine
This was
Lives.
when Def Leppard came back.
Oh, okay.
One of those.
2009, maybe.
It's like if
2009.
Led Zeppelin all of a sudden, like John Bonham just came to life, and they came back and did a new album. Kind of like what happened with Def
It
Leppard.
was fun
It was
experience.
cool. We met them and they came to our
daughters.
dressing.
The daughters,
What did you
right?
call the little trailer? Because we had our little trailer, and that's
Oh yeah, dressing room.
and the one-armed drummer,
Right.
I forget his name. He came with his family to take pictures.
There were two
with us.
girls, the daughters,
Two
who
daughters.
wanted a picture with us. So it was kind of sweet. The whole family came to take a picture with us. So
So there we
we
were.
do have it somewhere.
Wow.
That
Well,
was
that's awesome. That
Yeah.
is, see, there's some things that dance can take you places, right?
Oh,
You
Yes.
know, because it's one of those things is that people can do it and people do things they call dancing, but whenever somebody does it well, it's an art form. Um, so you know, I did have somebody else had this question: how many weddings, or I know you aren't like directly a wedding person, but how many calls do you have as compared to just wanting to learn to dance? Would you say you're like at 50% on weddings, or 2%, or would you say most of your call is for just learning to dance,
I'll-
or for
Well,
weddings?
I'll say this: we just opened the studio a month ago. I
Gotcha.
don't know if anybody knew that.
Right.
So
We're more like we're coaches. Well, I would say world-renowned coaches in
There you go.
U.S.
so far that's what we've
Coaches.
been doing. Yes.
For the past 10 years since we retired, we just teach professional couples, like to the highest level. When we opened the studio, that's when we started teaching different type of the beginners,
Yeah.
like the wedding couples. So right now we just opened in August. So I would say that how many wedding couples do we have now? We had
three.
1, 2, 3, 3.
Three.
Of the how many students we have at the school?
It's hard to they come and
Right.
go. There we have a group classes for students and private lessons, but I mean, it's not that we haven't done the wedding couples. We just in the recent
No,
years
but
we've
he
been
said per
focusing.
year.
Well, you know, I understand that y'all are new, but you say that previous, because you said you had a studio before, but you were
No.
catering to
We actually have
Pros.
not. We have not
We had a studio at our house. At our
Gotcha,
home.
gotcha.
Yeah.
But you were, like I
It
said,
was a
predominantly
space we
coaches.
used not as like a real commercial space.
Right.
A
Even more-
location like this.
It's been more
Right.
like traveling coaches, meaning like we would
Gotcha.
rent the
Judge.
space. We were invited by studios to teach there.
Lectures,
Um,
that kind of thing.
that's
Well,
the
that's
latest
awesome.
years after retiring. That's what we've been doing. But we've done before. We worked for the studios before.
Yeah.
You see when we started, and we
sure.
did the same thing as we're
You
doing right
probably
now.
have done more wedding couples than I have.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, it's been a minute, and some I suggest, and it works very well. Some wedding couples before the wedding would perform at the party. So we have our little parties,
Right.
and they can actually have a chance to have like a little practice performance before their big day. So we really recommend it. So you know, the first stress of performing, it's not going to be
Yeah.
on the first on the wedding day.
Wedding night.
Right.
They can come and on the little party and just dance in front of students, other students, and all family and friends. So
Some of them get really into it.
Really? Well, hey, once you become confident in doing something that you've learned. I mean, the first time you do it, you're like all nervous and everything because you don't want to look silly. But once you do it and you've been trained, you feel confident, and you probably then feel a little bit more improvisation. You still improvise a little bit with dance.
You
I don't know. Okay.
Yeah, I would say not necessarily right at the beginning, but when you do, and not for the actual choreo of the performance, because usually we set it to a specific music.
Right.
They do it from beginning to end till the highlight at the end, right? And then once, if there's a segue somewhere where, let's say, everybody's gonna come on the floor, that's when I would say that they start improvising a little bit more and maybe using their social dance skills. Like I
Right.
said, you have to be a compositional dancer, and you have to be able to eventually, I mean, that's the hardest thing, even in music, to improvise,
Right.
right? To improvise and it still sounds interesting.
Good. Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You know?
but once you know some set of steps, you can put them together in
certain
different
level.
ways. If you once you know them, you can combine them as you wish. You know,
Called
as a leader,
blending.
blending.
Oh,
right?
blending is what it is. Okay.
Mhm.
Blending the figures.
Well, that is awesome. So, is there anything else that you would think? Because there's all kinds of things. I mean, like you said something about the equipment, and I don't know. Now, this may sound silly to you guys, but I remember watching one of those little dance competitions, and the person said it was a certain type of floor, so they had to have certain type of shoes for their dance routine. Uh,
Hmm.
and so you're like, if somebody was going to, should they wear their wedding shoes for their
Some
dance,
do.
or does it make a difference, or is
It
it
does make a
Well,
huge
let's start with what
difference.
kind of floor we have. We have
Well,
the
we have
best
a, yeah,
floor you can get as a dance floor. It's a wood
sprung
floor,
floor, proper dance floor.
floated floor, yes.
Hmm. A lot of the studios around here that we've seen, what is it called? That
laminate?
parquet or something else?
Okay,
It's
Linoleum, is it? Or not linoleum? That's that plastic stuff.
but it's supposed to be like
Anyway,
it
it's
looks
not
like the
the
wood.
best floor
not
to
wood.
dance.
It's not the ours is
It's
real wood.
real wood,
This floor came
solid.
from Tennessee, to be
Oh,
honest. It
wow.
came from all the way from Tennessee, from the company who does only dance
Dance
floors.
floors, yeah.
The installer, it's the best installer, came from
From
Ohio. He
Ohio,
drove here to install the floor. We wanted to
Right,
make sure that we have the
the best
best
in the
thing here.
biz,
This is the
right.
most part of our studio, the floor. So
the
don't
biggest, most
mess with it.
important part.
That's why we do recommend to people for
Real
people to,
dance
once
shoes.
they know they want to actually learn how to dance, get the dance shoes. It's a good investment because you will dance better. If you have some sticky like a rubber shoe, rubber sole shoe,
Soul. Hmm.
you,
Right,
you
right.
stick to the floor, so it's for example hard to glide or turn.
Or
Yeah,
use your foot in a proper way from
Right.
toe to heel or from heel to toe.
So in the beginning, we would recommend for the guys to come with like a dress shoe would be good.
right, right.
Um, and the ladies, if they like to come with their wedding shoes, in the
Uh-huh.
very beginning, you can have some just flat shoe, like those ballet slippers looking shoe, just
Uh-huh.
comfortable because it's some have hard time dancing in the heels, some have hard time walking on the heels. So
Right.
learning new things, I would say maybe start in a flat, but eventually I do recommend the ladies to come and bring their wedding shoe, actual shoe they will dance at the wedding, or
Gotcha.
even
Or
bring.
Rosie brought her skirt.
Yeah, I had recommended that too. Obviously, a lot of ladies do not want the grooms to know how the dresses look like, but
Right, right,
we often do have underskirt, like from underneath, which is
right.
separate from the dress.
Gotcha.
So that's a good thing to bring. So it at least you get the feeling of the shape, of the length.
Right,
Much you can extend
Mhm.
your legs with the dress on.
I
right.
also recommend to try to practice where the wedding is, like day before. Often you get access to your venue.
Okay.
You can go in there and make sure that
Go
you
through
you
it,
kind of go through your routine, make sure that the
acclimate to the
spacing is
space,
right, the
Right.
size of the floor.
Yeah,
Uh,
because you might be in a habit of practicing at home in your kitchen,
or
and
the
then it's like,
studio.
oh yeah, and
they're
it's like,
different.
wait a minute, it's not that big or
Oh
smaller
my
or
gosh,
whatever.
yeah.
So we do ask, like one couple was saying, well, we have stairs that we're going to come down. So you have to think about it. You
Right.
can make it as a part of your routine, going down the stairs. How are you going to go down? You know, even just simple thing like asking for the lady's hand,
Right.
how to
The
stand,
etiquette.
and so little things like that. You gotta think about all the little things.
Yeah, people
Right.
think it's just so easy,
Oh,
and they,
yes.
oh, let me get 2 lessons and I'll be fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just
If
want to
the,
stand out there and get the spotlight on you and then not do anything.
Do
Okay.
the waddle. That's what we talk about. The waddle. Like, I'm
and then we often
dancing.
hear, oh, everybody's just waiting for them to finish. Like
Oh my
nobody
goodness.
wants to watch this.
Or
It's
they're
like a slow
walking
death.
the table. We will not have it at this studio. We'll make the center of
We want to
attention.
make it
No waddling.
special.
Oh boy.
Well,
So I usually like to ask for, is there like a little a success story or a little funny story related to dancing that maybe even was a wedding situation that you could think of that was like, hey, I think I'm going to remember that for a while. I mean, the 101-year-old student, now that's pretty awesome. That's a pretty cool thing.
Yes.
So,
I don't know. Do you have any story? I
but
mean, we have a lot of dance stories, but it's
success
more from
stories.
our competitive life. But
yeah.
I have to say, there hasn't been anything that impacted so much that would say like that I could say that, oh wow, look, as of late, the best thing that I have heard was that I inspired this gentleman to become a little bit more polished on the way he dressed, on the way he presented himself, and that was all through just coming to Fred's and
Right.
being around, the atmosphere and seeing that, hey, I if I come to this setting, I need to be more formal.
Yeah.
You know what
It's
I
kind
mean?
of like your uniform almost, right?
Right. It's a way of behaving. We're all very friendly here. We all say hello to one another. I mean, life as it is right now, I tell you, as soon as I walk out those doors, it is a totally different world out there.
Right.
And
Right.
when people walk in here, it should be like a transformation of what you just left behind and what you're going into in the new journey that you've allowed yourself to walk into, and hopefully get a little bit of affected by the formalities and the way that we behave and the way we address each other and the way what we teach and how to learn to look better in life.
Right.
You know what I mean? We don't always think about that stuff. I said to her many times, I said, I wish I was born in the 20s and 30s. For obvious reasons, I wouldn't want to be born in the 20s, but for other obvious reasons, as far as like
Right.
the way people had top hats and the way they had the overcoats and the cloaks, and at night, it was like a
Right.
totally different thing. No, everybody was a showstopper back then.
Right. Exactly.
They took care of things. There were many, many little details that they would address before even walking and presenting themselves to others. And I think that that's one of the things about ballroom dancing that I think is very special.
Mhm.
You see, agreed.
Yeah.
And I know, I'm telling you, there is so
And
much.
Natalka, for example, we have some students who
Mm,
did so well. Jose had a student, pro-am student, who was competing, and she lives in Michigan. We were in New York, but she still decided, hey, I do want to train with the champion. I want to compete
Yeah.
with him. And even though with that distance, she won national championships
Really.
times.
That
She
is.
would travel, she would fly once a week over the weekend, record, practice. So if you really want it, even with that distance, it's possible. It takes a lot of effort, focus, and she did it.
like I
And I appreciate what you're saying here, because to me, it's like that is a story in itself. But just the vibe I get from the two of you is that that's what you expect of your students. Yeah, not that you are demanding
We're
it, but
not
that's what.
forcing it on them, right?
Yeah, you're like, hey, they're going to be
Lead by
great.
example.
But do your part, basically. Do a part,
Yeah.
because there are students who just come, leave, forget about dance, and then come the next week again. They forget what we did last week. There are students like that, but you're not you're not taking advantage of everything that we
It's
gave you for the
available to you.
amount of money that you pay for the lesson. Make sure then you go and practice yourself. So when you come back, we can move to new things instead of
Right.
repeating the old things.
Doing the
So
wax.
practicing, even if it's a little by little per day, it really helps overall. I had a little success story today. My son.
Oh yeah,
So
this is the first time this ever happened.
Jenna, the little one, she wants to dance all the time. She just wants dance party all the time. Our son on the other side, he's very talented. He knows how to do it, and but he chooses not to.
His
So
disposition is
in the
like,
past, we did teach him a little bit more, like force him a few steps here and there. He did it. He knows how to do it.
Right.
But since
comes
then,
easy.
we didn't really push on him. It was like, okay, when the times comes. And today he's like, Mommy, can I learn how to dance today? And we actually, just by himself, he came because I was teaching another couple, and he's like, can I dance too? And I said yes. And we kept dancing. You won't believe his smile on his face.
There
He
you go.
finally got, you know,
basic step,
he was very good. He
rock
he wanted
step.
to do it, of on his own. That was really
It came
amazing. That
from
I
him.
didn't ask him. He did. He came to us. I want to do it. and
Right.
with a huge smile on his face. It was awesome. He's 8 years old, so
Wow.
uh, maybe. And I'm like, okay, so maybe it's time for dance shoes. I didn't want to buy dance shoes because they grow so fast.
Right.
He's
Right.
not gonna do it. I'm not gonna just keep it there. But today
Right.
is the day that maybe I will actually buy him dance shoes finally
Yeah.
because
See,
he wants it.
that's got to be beautiful more than just not just as a teacher but as a parent,
Hmm.
knowing that this is something that I do for my life and I've enjoyed it all my life, and now it's something my children want to do. It's That's got to be a special place in your
Yes.
heart. So I really appreciate y'all being here again. Y'all are in West Melbourne. You do the $99 special, and you're coaches as well. I like too that you can still do Zoom classes, right?
We
That's
Oh
actually
yeah.
do all the time. We have a
so
I have
couple
a
from
couple from
California,
California.
from New Jersey, from New York. People still do
Yeah.
that. Hmm.
gotcha.
I
And
teach.
really too, that you are also a customized service. Lots of times, like as a photographer, you get a package. You get this many photos, but the two of you are really a customized package in the fact that what do you want to do? We will modify our education process
Yeah.
to include this or that. So that's a beautiful thing to do. And it's something special that you can have. And again, I believe what you mentioned before is that maybe you just started this journey as a married couple. You learned this dance together, and now you can continue that journey. And did you say you had some students that ended up being in competitions and being very successful afterwards after
Oh
they
yeah.
Yes.
doing it
Yes.
well?
Oh yeah.
So
They live it. Like when
right,
they don't dance, it's like
What do I
they
do?
get anxiety. They're like, oh, I haven't practiced. Oh God, I need to get to the studio. It's like
It
anything. It's
comes
like
alive.
golf. It's
Yeah.
like I say, I love golf. I haven't played golf since October,
yeah,
and I'm working on it. I want to keep working on it, but I have so much other things to do right now. I can't
no,
express myself through golf anymore. As much
exactly.
as I would.
It's like
There's you.
it's
You know,
like
yeah, but that's okay. Once we get the ball rolling in this, then I'll
yeah,
have time to dedicate, my other spare time to maybe getting back for myself something.
yeah, yeah.
Because I can't live just like as my students can't live without dance. I can't live without golf. So dance is in the back of my, back pockets. But I'm working on my golf game
Gotcha.
constantly. I'm a decent putter, but the long game gotta
Long
work.
game. Gotcha. It's always a long game. Well, I really appreciate this. I know this is time out of your life, even with your little ones.
Oh, it's a
And
pleasure. Pleasure. Thank you
I'm
for
glad to
hosting
know that we
us.
have
We
such
love it.
professionals here in Brevard County. And, for a wedding, or it could be an anniversary or any event. And sadly, you don't perform at weddings, but, maybe you could train somebody who would perform at other locations. Maybe, they could go to this place over
We
in
do.
are.
Orlando.
Actually, if you do want a couple to perform on your wedding, we retire, so we don't really practice and perform right now. But we
We
do
have
know a
couples.
lot of couples who we train, professional couples from around here, from near and far, that we can suggest at different prices. So we
Great.
do have lots of suggestions. Yes.
Gotcha. Well, I appreciate it so much. I don't want to hold you up any longer. You are some of the nicest teachers that I've come across. You have this concept of a dance. It's like, my wife and I love that movie Sing, and there's a Sing 2 where the instructor is like this, very strict kind of person. No, you guys don't seem like you.
Well, we are kind of strict, but
Can be strict.
we're also kind of realistic.
Right.
You know,
Yeah, exactly.
We're not going to beat you with a stick.
Not too hard.
Although sometimes we do bring out the stick.
Oh, you're not listening and you're wearing shorts. Oh,
No, but seriously,
yeah.
so it's not only about, let's say getting dressed up and being, very formal, but also you need to express yourself in a formal manner
Gotcha.
in your everyday life. And that, I think that's one of the reasons why, we also came down to the Florida, is want to change the life of the kids and also change our lives. Because again, I'm almost 50. Where am I going to be in the next 10 years? I want to just keep pushing, being coach, or do I want to develop the next generation? So
Gotcha.
for us, it's also that we saw that there was nothing around here. So we're like,
Yeah.
hey, this is a great opportunity to transform the area a little bit as far as dancing is concerned, in
Oh,
our
yeah.
way that we know how to. And so we really appreciate your time as well.
Wow.
And thank you for having us on the show. I think you're doing a great service to the community.
Well, thank
And thank you for all your wonderful questions, audience.
you.
And Tanika,
Well,
hopefully you guys will have some time to come by and check us out.
okay, yeah, my wife's gonna say, yeah, see, you got to take you up on that offer, though. But again, thank you, I appreciate it, and for sure, it's important. This area does need some cultural shocks and innovation, some good, uh, you know, opportunities like y'all provide. So, well, I do appreciate your time being here. The little one, hope y'all have a safe weekend, and as I always say, challenge yourself every day to be a better photographer. So, and dancer as well. So,
Much love. Thank you so much.
Thank you
Good.
for having
All right,
us.
and I'll put the link to your site downstairs whenever
All right.
whenever we post a video. All right. Bye bye. Thank you. Have a great evening. Thank you everybody
You
for
too. You as well.
tuning in. Thank you.
Bye.
Okay.